everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Markets. I am your host, Pink, and I'm here with my co-host, Dave Lauer. Dave, can you breathe up there? I saw the smoke's gotten worse.
No, can't breathe.
You're kind of hazy right now.
Send help. It's crazy. It's terrible here. Yeah, no, it's been, it's very smoky. It's very hazy. It's very unhealthy outside. I hope if people are being subjected to this, because I know it's like, it's coming down. It's like a nasty fart coming down from Canada.
It is. Y'all crop dusted us, Dave.
Yeah. It's coming down to you. I'm sorry. We're walking right past you, and now there's a certain smell, but really, like, it's not like a funny fart. This is like a dangerous one. And
yeah, it's not just a poutine fart. Like, this is chemical fart.
Oh, those are terrible. We should not go into the gastrointestinal impacts of poutine, but I can assure you, as someone with a somewhat sensitive, GI tract,
Go there.
Don't go there.
It's good in theory.
It's good
right?
in theory, and it's good. It's good. Like, it tastes freaking delicious, but you pay for that, man. That's all. All right. Anyway, take the smoke seriously. It's not healthy, and
change your air filters in your house and your car. Wear your mask.
We got HEPA filters. We're wearing our masks outside. This time. And
somebody tell this guy COVID's over. Is that what everybody is saying?
I just hope people take it seriously, because I think it's very unhealthy. But other than that, the things are good. Things are interesting. There's all sorts of interesting things happening, and since I'm in the house more, I'm paying even more attention to it.
Perfect time though to like launch beta. That's what we're working on the other side of our project. We've got beta up and rolling on the Irvin.finance, and we've been plugging away on that and posting memes and posting opinions.
2 weeks into beta, people are using the site. It's great. People are talking, posting. It's fun. If you're listening to this and you're not on the site, jump on. If you're not already on the beta waitlist, go to Irvin.finance and sign on. We're adding people in batches. We just added another batch this morning, actually. And if you are, check it out. Let us know what you think, because that's the most important thing. We think it's pretty sweet, but we need to hear what you think, and we need to, we wanted to make it a platform for the community. We're listening to what everyone says. We hope people are logging on regularly, trying to make it a habit, and, enjoying the conversations that are happening, which I just think have been great so far.
Yeah, you've been sharing a lot of opinions there that are pretty exclusive. I'm loving that. Like, it's really cool. It's like everyone gets the opportunity to kind of sit fireside and hear opinions from Dave Lauer.
Yeah, if that's your thing, I got no shortage of opinions, and but they're coming through. It's fun. Like, all of us are interacting with everyone on the platform.
Well, at the time of this recording, it is the last day of third-party apps for Reddit. So I know that Reddit usage is probably going to change for a lot of people, and they may be looking for that filler. And we're definitely more than filler. Once your little icon is gone for Reddit is fun or Apollo on your home screen, just go to Irvin.finance, click save to home screen, and now you've got a button directly to the site. So. Yeah,
for real.
There's your solution.
You're welcome here. We know there are issues there. You're welcome to come here. I think we're going to have some really good conversations. We've got great data, and it's nice that everyone can talk together while sharing, the gold source data, the same source of data. That's one of the things we think is an issue on other platforms that we're solving for. So, and we're adding communities. As people request them, you want to talk about a particular stock, we'll be happy to add that. You want to talk about, something we don't have covered in our existing communities, we're happy to add that. So, eventually we'll get to the point where it's more user driven in terms of community creation and moderation. But at this early stage, we're being very flexible, and I think it's been great.
We're all holding the hammers together, and we're all like building it. We're all on the same level. That's what I love about it, as someone who has come from the Reddit community, that I love this feeling of being able to build this into what we want and what we have envisioned for years now. Yeah. So I really want my fellow community members from Reddit to come over and help us, help us paint the walls, guys.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is like, again, we have 2,000 investors, more than 2,000 investors, right? Like this is a community-driven project, and we will be as responsive as you can imagine to feedback and requests. And frankly, like the dev team is just cranking shit out right now.
Yeah.
They're operating at a high level, and we're fixing bugs.
Design team too. Like everyone on the back end has just been phenomenal. I mean, this thing is growing into whatever the good version of Frankenstein's monster is. But yeah, so that's, we've got a tie there with, we the investors. It's a great way to be able to stay up to date through the platform on Irvin.finance, to be able to stay up to date on SEC comment letters and what we're doing with the SEC, and on our activism side, which is really what we're focusing on today, is going to be all about the SEC is just like heated right now. Like things are hot around the SEC. There was a hearing just recently entitled "The Oversight of the SEC's Division of Trading and Markets," and there was a quote that Gary Gensler is taking a wrecking ball to every corner of our current equity market structure in one fell swoop. So like some kind of heavy shots being fired both ways, to and from the SEC. And there's just been so much of that going on, Dave.
I think that if you're listening to the podcast or even watching our amazing, attractive faces on YouTube or something, but
we have faces made for podcast, right?
But you have, yeah, well, certainly the audio format. But if you haven't gone to the blog yet, I got to encourage you, because the meme, the image that you created is it's something else, and
it's cursed. We're gonna curse you listeners right now and put it in your mind. For this entire episode, I want you to picture Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball, but like with the Gary Gensler like poker face, just kind of crudely over, superimposed over Miley's body on a wrecking ball.
We were talking about, Dave, our writer, made it, and he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, is this okay? And his point was like, he's got gorgeous legs. Who could be upset about that? And I can't stop looking at the legs now and being like, those are some gorgeous legs. I guess maybe it's okay. It should be flattering.
I think Gary Gensler would laugh as soon as he put on the Deal With It shades on like April 1st. I think it was April Fool's Day. He was playing with us and like acknowledging meme culture. So he would probably be like, look at my legs,
So we're gonna post it, and I think it's hilarious, and let's see if it ruins our relationship with the chair's office or not. But I do think it's funny because, okay, the quote is, he's taking a wrecking ball to every corner of our equity market structure in one fell swoop. And I know a lot of people who follow us and support what we do who would say, yes, burn that motherfucker down, right? Like that's what they want. They want complete overhaul of the whole system, burn everything to the ground, start over, right? And so if they heard that that's what the Congresswoman from Missouri said, and they would be like, wait a second, should we like Gary Gensler? But she said it as if it's a complete and total disaster, right? And
right.
Of course, it threatens the profits of her biggest donors. And, so yeah, of course, just quickly on that, from 2011 to 2022, the securities and investment industry, by far the biggest contributor to Ann Wagner, more than $1.8 million. Okay, so, I think you need to understand that when parts of Congress, and this is not a partisan thing, it's on both sides, but parts of Congress who take money from the securities industry are really upset over what the SEC is doing because they're doing too much too quickly. That's it. The everything all at once is the quote I've heard, and how bad that is. And I think, from our perspective, this is something that hasn't been touched since 2005. Really, that was when Reg NMS was passed. So 18 years that you've had no fundamental changes to market structure, rules, and regulations. And so the idea that this is too much too fast, forgive me if your complaints are falling on deaf ears here, right?
Exactly. And we've been through what? One major market crash, one pandemic, one almost another major market crash, crypto. I mean, it's a different world. It's silly to even point out that it's a completely different trading world than it was in 2005. So
completely different.
That's an absurd statement, basically.
Now to give you an idea, 2005 was when I started my career on Wall Street. All right. And you see, I didn't have gray hair at the time. Okay. So like the market is as old as I am now. It's got a lot of gray hair. Even in the beard, it's getting gray hair. All right.
No, not the red beard.
Yeah, I know. The red, it's still mostly red. But the market is graying. It's getting old. Its kids are driving it up the wall sometimes. Sorry, that's not the mark. But it needs some hair dye.
It does. It needs some just for men.
I'm never going to dye my hair, by the way. That's a guarantee.
Me either. This pink is natural.
Right. Perfect. When I was a kid, this was like a promise I made to myself, because like the men in my family, they gray early. I think I'm actually well ahead of the curve right now because I keep take such fantastic care of myself. But
that is a coif. That's quite a coif you've got there.
I said I'm never going to dye my hair. I'm going gray. But the market doesn't need to go gray. It can use some just for men. Right.
Absolutely. Right.
And here we
are. The entire system
Here
needs
we are
to keep with the times.
Yes, with the charity.
Go to the gym, hit the gym, take maybe some hormone pills. I don't know.
Maybe
we don't judge, but
sure. But whatever.
Get back to prime state.
Come on, you got to work out. You need to exercise that shit.
Everyone's gonna swipe left on your economy if you don't. I do think I was thinking about this, and I think we should have, as part of the podcast at some points, like longevity tips, because I'm kind of obsessed with this shit. And so, maybe we'll make that a segment at some point if people want to hear what I think about that. But we could definitely make that our encore.
Yeah.
This is the end of our podcast for this. So Dave, how are you staying healthy this week besides not breathing,
Right, exactly. And you'll all learn about how crazy I am. If you haven't already picked up.
It's been fun to see that side of you. Yeah, I definitely want more people that only know you through Reddit or Twitter to see that side of you, because it's awesome. You're very into health and wellness, and you're a fountain of information. So
yes, some would say too into it. Some people close to me would say.
Well, anyone that knows you from the stock market knows that, get you started on a hyperfixation and then you're in for an hour of you better be taking notes,
Exactly. There you go. It pays dividends in all sorts of ways. And,
exactly.
Now you're being subjected to it. No, but you're choosing to listen to this podcast. So you must be interested in hearing boring lectures about markets for a half hour. So, this is on you. It ain't on me. It's on you, the listener. You're
obviously masochists, and we love you for it.
Love you for it.
Dave has the whip.
All 10 of you,
Yes.
I don't even know.
Hey, Jon Stewart's going to listen one day, and we're going to blow up.
One day, that's right. And then they're going to see all these episodes. I'm going to be like, wow, Let's Talk Markets was so crazy in the beginning.
Yeah. This is like the beginning of the documentary. So it's fine.
Right.
This is just for posterity.
Yeah. So back to this hearing, right? So you got this oversight hearing, and this was, I think this is such a funny thing. In the beginning of it, this is Ann Wagner said this is the first time in more than 4 years that members of the Division of Trading and Markets have been invited to testify before the committee. It was Trading and Markets Director Haosheng Zhu and Chief Economist Jessica Wachter, and she vowed such hearings would be far more frequent going forward. So C-SPAN subscribers, rejoice!
Right.
Far more
content for ages.
Yes. I'm excited. Again, there are 10 of us, I'm sure, that are excited.
Yeah. I love you, but you would be excited about that.
I don't think they're excited. That was an unpleasant hearing to watch. They were attacked quite consistently. And the Ann Wagner is pushing this piece of legislation called the SEC Regulatory Accountability Act. Again, remember what we said last week. Whatever the title of the bill is probably not what it does. And this is more of like the Corporate Donor Handout Act, if you ask me.
Accurate. Yeah.
Well, that would not distinguish it from most bills in Congress. So this
is the I Can't Lose My Third Beach Home Act.
Yeah. So what this bill would do is it would force the SEC to pace reforms, pace the new rulemaking. So you can only put in Rule 605 and the market data rules, and then you can't do anything else after that, and you have to study it. And then there's another part of the bill which is identify and assess the problems addressed by proposed regulation. So make sure that you're addressing a problem in the market and perform cost-benefit analysis. It's basically what's the title here? Congressional speed humping.
You have to read the blog if you're listening. Like, if you just read it for like the titles and like the section headers, like it kills. So
you're missing out if you're not reading the blog.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was the theme of this hearing? The theme was, members of Congress funded by the securities industry pushing hard against, these two top members of the SEC, and these two top members of the SEC saying, "We hear you. All of this is in the comment file. There's a process. Respect the process."
Respect the process.
I can say that as a 76ers fan, but mildly. I mean, I'm not that into basketball, but I had a crazy basketball experience once. I'll talk about it one day on the show. But TLDR, I got to go out to dinner with Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, and John Thompson after the Sixers won a 2001 playoff game against the Bucks, when I met Allen Iverson as well, and it was the craziest experience. But that's another
crazy.
Story for another time. That's like
you peaked in 2001. That's awesome.
That's right. That was the peak of me in basketball.
Yeah. Not Jon Stewart, not Gary Gensler, like none of this reform stuff.
That was crazy. So anyway, but there's a process here. There's a process. You don't. As a member of Congress, you don't just get to say do this. There's a process, and so maybe let's talk about the process.
What does that process look like? Like, help us smooth brains understand.
Yeah. So listen, like, this isn't NOM. There are rules. Okay, and those rules were written by Congress. So, like, these members of Congress who are so pissed off at the process, they're like, but like that, this is, there are laws. This is a country of rules. So, there's this thing called the Administrative Procedures Act, the APA. You'll hear it all the time. And what it basically said, it lays out the process for regulating things. What an agency, the SEC is an agency in the executive branch, the rules it has to follow. And those, when the SEC or any agency makes a new regulation, they can be taken to court for failure to have followed the Administrative Procedures Act, and get that regulation overturned if they fail to follow that procedure. And the procedure is, you propose a rule. It gets published in the Federal Register. It has a comment period. The public gets to weigh in. There's a certain amount of time that the public gets to weigh in on the rule. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know if it's in the act itself, but the SEC sets different deadlines based on rule complexity. And this one had a ton of time, right? Like, they announced the equity market structure rules mid-December 14th, I think, but maybe, I don't remember, but something like that. But the comment deadline ran through the end of March, so more than 3 months to analyze the rules, do your research. We put in our comment letters. I think we did a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. But I think that, again, like, then once the comment deadline is over, the staff of the agency has to read every single comment. every single one. You see some of these comment files, they're a bit crazy. There's tons of comments. They got to read every single one. And they don't just have to read it. They have to consider it. Again, there are rules, right? And so they have to address those in the final rulemaking. And that's what's happening right now, is they are reading all of these thousands of comment letters and they're learning. The SEC, say what you will about them, but regardless of historically how you feel about them, where they've been, what they've done, this SEC trying to remake equity markets is trying to get it right. They're trying to figure out the best answers. They're trying to take feedback from the industry with an understanding that those firms are giving them feedback to preserve their own revenue and profitability. But that doesn't mean there's nothing in those letters that's worth considering. So they're trying to take this all in, and the final rule, or maybe even a reproposed rule, will come out. If it's reproposed because they needed to make really substantive changes, there will be another comment period. Sometimes you have multiple comment periods, which is in fact what just happened with this modernization of beneficial ownership rule.
And those aren't even hard deadlines either. I mean, like, it's worth noting there have been some opposing some of these changes that are saying we didn't even have enough time to comment, or, there wasn't enough time. And it's like, I think it was up until a week or two, you said, before.
It's what, as long as the rule is under consideration, it's being worked on, you get a comment letter in, they're going to consider it. Because if they don't, they're going to open themselves up. So yeah, we're still going to be filing comment letters on the equity market structure rules. We're still going to file comment letters on other things. The deadline is, that's, I don't know, it's like the speed limit, right? It's a suggestion. It's not like a hard and fast thing.
Is that how it works?
Not according to all these speeding tickets, it's not.
Is that how it is in Canada?
Dude, there are so many fucking speed cameras up here. They're killing me. You come here as a New Jersey driver, you got problems. I'm sorry. It's hard. This whole socialist thing, they get their money. I'll tell you that. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, you got to pay for those clean streets, They're
very clean.
Yeah. You come to the Midwest, the armpit of America, you'll appreciate those colors at work.
Now, when you come from Jersey, you go to the Midwest, you're like, holy shit, it's clean here, and people are really nice. What is going on? I remember,
that's just the front of the house. That's just the living room. That's the living room of town.
That's
our
not
parlor.
The Midwest. When I moved from New York to Chicago in 2009, and I went to cross a street in Chicago, and a car stopped for me to let me cross. And I was just looking at them. I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
You're like, are you about to kidnap me? Or what is this?
Are they going to wait till I'm in front of them and run me down? Like, I don't know. It was like a Canadian standoff at the intersection. You know what a Canadian standoff is?
You're like, oh, yeah, and you're waiting for someone.
You hold the door open, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, you go.
Yeah. I went to Chicago 2 weeks ago, and the whole city smelled like pee. So, not impressed. Not genuinely, that was my impression of it. So,
oh man. All right. So anyway, as we're saying, there's a process. That was the central message of these personnel from the SEC. And I think that we're going to see that process play out. We're going to be here as it does. We're going to try and keep everyone up to date on what's going on. And we're going to do our best to be a part of that process. I think that's the most you can do in this situation, is try and help the regulators get it right, and point things out to them when you can. And hopefully the final rules are going to be awesome and everything we want them to be.
Hopefully. And the more involved we are, the more we can ensure that happens.
Yeah.
Or at least ensure we've done all we can to make that happen. So, And that's what's so great about We the Investors, being able to have sort of a big sibling type to say, look, this is where we go. This is the right way. Ignore that guy over there. He's crazy. Let's just stay focused. This is what we need to focus on and comment on and all that. So it's been really great to have that guidance.
Yeah. And these firms know that, right? They know what this process is. No one knows it better than them. And so, every time they complain that there wasn't enough time, which they do all the time, they're like, there wasn't enough time to comment, blah, 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 they're lying. They're just straight up lying. They know how this shit works. And they're just looking, but that's not surprising, right? They're just looking for any possible way to discredit the rulemaking, to delay it, to attack Gensler. And, so we're going to be there to, again, point out this hypocrisy and point out the bullshit.
That's very obviously grasping at straws when you have no real merit to argue. I mean, that's what happens is you start just grabbing at anything. So
yeah, that's right.
Good luck with that, guys. That's all we have to say, because
so we did anyway. We did see this process play out this week in a kind of funny way. So you might be aware of this if you're listening, that there's this rule proposal from the SEC called the Modernization of Beneficial Ownership Rule, and the way it works today is that if you acquire more than 5% of the shares in a company, that you have to, within 10 days, file a disclosure that says you've done this. A lot of activists and hedge funds do that. And what they do is that they continue trading during that 10-day period. And so every share that they're buying during that 10-day period, when it comes from a retail investor, an individual investor, that individual investor is being taken advantage of, because the hedge fund that's buying those shares knows that the company's price is going to go up when that filing hits.
Right.
Well studied. The prices go up when big.
It's a loophole to trading on insider information.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. This is no different. I don't see a difference from material non-public information. And today the deadline is 10 days. So this proposal said, hey, let's do a couple of things. Let's shrink that to 5 days. And let's include derivatives like the kind that Archegos was holding. Because if Archegos had to publicly disclose their derivative positions, they would not have been able to amass such giant positions. The way Archegos did it was they got a giant position over here with one broker, and then a giant position over here with another broker, and the brokers had no idea, because there was no public disclosure of derivatives. And that led to huge concentration of risk in the market. And it really could have been a much bigger disaster than it ended up being. So that's the brunt. There are other things in this rule proposal that, I don't know if they're worth going into. There are more controversial parts, like the definition of a group, that we didn't weigh in on. I don't really have an opinion on that kind of stuff. But what I did have an opinion on was, hey, we should shrink that down. And we were already, actually, funny enough, we've been working on this comment letter for a couple of weeks now, because we planned on filing it at the deadline. We weren't rushing or anything. And we said, let's actually make that time period 2 days. Why did they get 5 days? They should have 2 days. That's relatively standard disclosure time period for like insider share purchases or sales. Like those have to be disclosed in 2 days. Europe, it's the 2-day disclosure deadline, I think. There are other markets that do, that kind of thing. So different, less than 5 days is the point. And also, yes, definitely disclose derivatives holders. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right. Now, on Friday, a week ago, if this comes out this Friday, we were recording on a Friday. On Friday, there was this notion raised on social media that actually the rule proposal would grant voting rights to derivatives holders. And that's not accurate. That's not what it would do. It's very important to understand. It would in no way do that. The rule today, for example, you have to disclose options positions if they're more than 5%. If you have lots of options contracts, and I'm sure people have seen these kinds of disclosures of large options positions, you have to, the rule says, okay, you are considered a beneficial owner for purposes of this rule for disclosure. The statutory definition of beneficial ownership is that you have voting power and or investment power. And that or is a very important operative word there. So beneficial ownership does not necessarily mean voting rights. It can simply mean investment power. And so, if you would think for some reason that the rule would grant derivatives holders voting rights, you have to explain how it doesn't do that today to options holders. It's very, when it comes down to it, it's a pretty straightforward thing. And look, again, this stuff is complex. It's the language isn't made to be easy. We all make mistakes, right?
Definitely. And especially when, So like back in the day in the Reddit community, right? There was this rule that we had like in moderation was like a 72-hour cooling off period or, thinking period after any kind of call to action across the social channels, be it Reddit or Twitter, and regardless of the source. That's an important key, to like, it's regardless of the source. You give it time, let the wrinkle brains mull it over and figure out, hey, what are we supposed to do with this? And then just see how it plays out. But there was a call to action that led to a lot of comment letters being submitted that were just unfortunately misinformed.
Yeah,
So,
and that cooling off period, it should be a time to look at evidence, right? Let's
right.
examine what would support an argument, what wouldn't. Let's make sure to get it right. It is way more important to get things right than to do things quickly in this process, right? There's no harm in waiting a week to file a comment letter. No harm whatsoever to make sure that we get everything correct. And look, I'm going to be wrong plenty. I'm going to put stuff out there. I really try hard not to. I try, and when I'm looking at something that I don't have intimate familiarity with, I try and find people who do, and help, have them help me understand the issue, make sure I'm getting it right. I try and talk to people who don't agree with me, because I think that's a very important part of intellectual honesty. I really think that when you look at the comment file for this rule, which is a really important rule for, one, transparency, which is a core tenet of We the Investors and everything that I believe about markets, but two, would really part of the rule is really focused on making sure that retail investors are not taken advantage of during that time period where they don't have access to this insider information, because they're losing millions and millions of dollars a year selling at lower prices than they should be because someone knows something they don't. So this is a really important rule. And you see hundreds of comment letters come in opposed to the rule because of this misconception. And many of them were not, we support the rule but want to make sure that derivatives holders don't get voting rights. That wasn't the message of a lot of these comment letters. And so, I think that's unfortunate. I think people need to be careful when they're filing a comment letter to make sure that we all get it right and to all work together.
Just stay well informed and continue to try to make the most well-informed comments that you can. And whether that's through the assistance of some, an advocacy group like We the Investors or somewhere else, or what you saw on Reddit or, anything like that, just make sure that you are speaking. We've earned this seat at the table, and it's by right, honestly, but we've really earned it. And we just want to make sure that we keep that same respect coming towards us, that we aren't thought of as being ill-informed or that we're, quick to jump the gun on submitting these comment letters, and really, because they have to read them, remember. So,
and if you want to focus on these issues, right, like the core issues that people are upset about are overvoting and proxy plumbing, like you want focus on these issues. These are critical issues. They're a main part of the We the Investors platform as well. If you want focus on those issues, again, it's important not to discredit yourselves by getting something wrong. And whatever, it's going to happen. We'll move on. And but it really is, I think, a credibility issue. And it means a lot, in Washington, to make sure that, your reputation is that you get things right and you're independent, right? Like that's the core advantage that we have. We are independent. There's no profit motive in anything that we're doing. And we're trying to empower individual investors to represent themselves in these issues. And so, that.
And we have not to interject, but we have, we're purple for a reason. We have no political affiliations. We're not red. We're not blue. We walk right down the middle of the aisle and we hold hands with anybody that agrees with us.
That's right.
So we're here to represent investors and help investors represent themselves. So that's just really important that everyone understands that this supersedes those lines,
And now it's time for us all to hold hands and start singing Kumbaya. And I'm absolutely not going to do that because I'm tone deaf. But you who are listening,
I'm a germaphobe, so I'll sing over here.
Please do. and know that everyone who has listened to this has now participated in a kumbaya. And that's awesome.
Yeah, campfire. We passed a doobie around the campfire. Like, we're all good and we're there.
It's all good,
we're all
man.
roasted.
It's all good.
But yeah, just coming together and understanding that this is above. They will try to make it about party lines and about
They will.
Party affiliations, and that's how you break up any good movement, is to to bring irrelevant social issues into play and try to stoke and get things going.
Yep.
Anything to keep the eyes off the issue. So
that's right.
So it's just really important to keep focused, keep well informed, keep your sources cited, research your stuff before you scream at the SEC.
Don't blindly follow anyone. Don't blindly follow me.
Us included. Yes. I know we've individually said that as long as we've been, had followers. It's like, guys, we're just people, and anything I say, take with a grain of salt. And yeah, that goes for anybody.
Yeah.
President or janitor in between.
Yeah. So this episode's gone on a bit long, and that's okay. Because we're going to take the week off next week. Next week's a big holiday week, and
we've got American independence, and we've got I only speak America. So what else is there, Dave?
Yeah. Canada Day. So
I
think actually I don't even know what the celebration is, but I get to celebrate it. July 1st. I get 2 holidays in July. I get 2 Thanksgivings. It's pretty sweet.
You're like a divorced kid with 2 parents getting 2 Christmases.
Yes,
it's not fair.
Exactly. It's great.
Canada's the buttoned up mom that gets you to school on time, and America's the fun dad that's like, let's go shoot fireworks and drink beer.
I love the fun dad. The polite mom was apologizing for everything all the time. She's all right too, and
she's good. She's good at what she does. She's a Pixar mom. We love her.
She's got custody right now. Dad had custody for a long time. I'll go back and forth. It's all good.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all his fault. Like, Dad lost custody going crazy, but it's fine. He's still fun on the weekend.
Yeah, Dad, you went fucking crazy. All right. Pull it back just a little. Fun crazy, not crazy.
We'll try. Right? We'll try in the next year or so to pull it back just a little, but
yeah. So happy. We want to wish everyone the happiest of holidays. Have great barbecues, blow some shit up.
Stay safe though. Don't lose fingers. Don't lose eyeballs. Practice safety, and alcohol and fireworks don't exactly mix. So make sure that there's kind of a good separation between sober firework poppers and everyone else.
Don't let friends blow shit up drunk. All right.
Hold my beer. Have you ever put black cats in an RC vehicle? I used to do that every year. That's fun. That's the redneck way of celebrating and just drive around till they're,
I used to put M80s in my sister's stuffed animals. So.
Oh my God, you're an animal. You're an animal. I can't believe she forgave you.
It's a miracle she talks to me. That's the tip of the iceberg there.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, we're out of time. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a fun episode. Be sure you hit subscribe on our Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Make sure you get a notification anytime we put up a new episode. We're kind of running on an every other week thing right now since we've got so many holidays going on, but we're always on Irvin.finance. The beta is full steam ahead. So come join us. And thanks for listening. Everybody have a great holiday.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.